What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLorean here. Welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome to my 1013 review and discussion video, aka my review and discussion video for Michonne's final episode. So like usual, review first and discussion second, but without further ado, I distract on the top right into the review. So the acting for the most part was pretty good. Danny or Garati, I'm sorry if I completely butchered her name or anything, I have no clue how to say it, but she gave an amazing performance as Michonne in this episode. Her playing the evil Michonne felt a little weird to watch, probably because it was a complete 180 on her character, but it was good, like, you know, nonetheless. Her emotional and angry moments were pretty good. She has always been amazing in The Walking Dead and will forever be missed, even though her story is not done, but that's for another video. Kevin Carroll as Virgil, he did a good job with what he was given. His emotional moments more than his psycho and crazy ones. Kaylee as Judith and everything, for the short time her and, like, you know, her brother RJ were and everything, they were pretty good. King Batch, who I thought I'd honestly fucking hate in this episode when I heard he was gonna be in the episode, wasn't even that bad. He was actually pretty convincing, but that was just me and everything. I'm pretty sure others have differing opinions and everything, but, you know, which is alright and everything. The editing. Ooh, the editing. The editing wasn't actually bad. It just how they handled, like, you know, a moment where, like, you know, I'll go into more depth later. I'll put into quick words here. There were some moments in this episode that were cut way too quick when we should have spent way more time on them and everything. I hated every moment that I had to be reminded there was a hallucination or anything. Like, cut it out with the wavy visuals and let's enjoy the moments and everything. Also, with all the flashbacks, like, as much as I love them all and everything, and like I said, I'll go more into depth with them later and everything, but with, like, you know, it felt like I was watching a montage or a trailer with every flashback and everything, and it was just so, like, The moments themselves were good and everything, it's just the editing was a little off. The music was actually good, it's just, yet again, I wish we could have enjoyed these moments without, like, you know, the fucking obnoxious synths and, like, shit rising. But besides those scenes, it was all placed pretty well and everything, especially with, like, you know, the ending. The camera work, like usual, was standard, no amazing cinematography choices, which, yet again, is not a bad thing. There were some jarring and awful, I mean, there was no jarring and awful shots or anything, which just all really standard and anything, not bad. The special effects, like, you know, were good and everything. The fires and the walkers, per usual, looking pretty good. But that was my review and everything. Now onto the discussion, and also I will kind of review the flashbacks or when I'm talking about them and everything in this video, so it will kind of sound a bit like a review, but I thought they'd fit better in the discussion since it is kind of me also discussing stuff. The scenes leading up to Virgil admitting, like, you know, it was all bullshit were pretty good. Like, him saying, like, you know, there were no weapons was, like, you know, pretty good. Virgil alerting all those walkers was pretty funny and everything, especially how he was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, he thought it was pretty comedic, even though there's a good chance they could have fucking died. Him and Michonne using shields and everything in her sword was pretty cool, especially how it reminded me so much of, like, you know, the scene in season 8 when Rick used that car Van Door as a shield. It was pretty cool. Virgil finding his family was definitely one of his standout moments of the episode. Like, it actually felt genuinely sad and somewhat messed up since there was two little children just hanging there with obviously his wife and everything, and it was genuinely sad and an emotional moment when he had, like, when he tried to put the shoe back on his kid, or technically succeeded, but, you know, who cares. Virgil locking Michonne in that room was pretty cool. Like, it was a pretty cool moment and everything, especially with the reveal that he was, like, you know, technically a bad guy and everything, even though it was pretty obvious. It was still a cool moment. Michonne's conversation with the others locked in, like, you know, the building and everything were pretty interesting, especially since we got to learn more, like, you know, backstory on the place, Virgil, and what happened to him and his family. Now the hallucinations and flashbacks. How it all started was pretty cool and everything, like, really cool, especially with City coming in and being completely different with, like, all the blood on Michonne's hands and everything, and with all the screaming. It actually felt like a genuine horror movie and, like, a really good horror moment. It felt like a lot like the movie Get Out in, like, some sense, at least to me. Now let's move on to the rest. Seeing the return of Andrew was pretty cool, just in with all of these scenes and everything, seeing like super old scenes now in season 10 was really cool and everything, since, like, it's just weird seeing season 2 scenes now. It just felt really cool in my opinion. Hearing Andrea scream when she was, like, you know, got bitten and was being eaten and everything was extremely haunting, especially having Michonne walk up to her eaten corpse and just, like, you know, taking her knife and wiping on her was really cool. Seeing Michonne as the person with the orange backpack was cool and everything, and seeing how it was Daryl who left her, that was really cool and everything. It was, you know, it was cool. Seeing old Negan with the saviors and anything and meet, like, you know, her and anything was really cool. Like, how he acted around her and how they spoke, it just, all of it was really cool, and I think especially how it was just, like, old Negan. Seeing the attack of the outpost was really cool, and I think especially how Glenn killed Laura and having Michonne wake up and kill, like, you know, him and Heath was really cool. It felt really weird to hear Glenn and everything, especially, you know, with her escaping. I thought that was all cool. Now, the big moment. Seeing the lineup again, it was cool and fun to see it all again, especially how Negan, like, you know, handing off, like, you know, Michonne to, or Lucille to Michonne and everything, how he gave her speech, or how she gave the speech and everything. Like, that was all really cool and everything. And like I mentioned earlier, it was very weird to see evil Michonne, but it was still really, really cool. Like, I feel like it was just weird, I think, since it was a complete change in her character. Also, having her being the victim of the bat and everything was very interesting and just really cool. But there is a bigger moment. The final fight, technically final in big quotes. Seeing Michonne get shot with that arrow and everything by Daryl and get kicked back by Daryl was so cool, since he was extremely aggressive towards Michonne. That was really fucking cool, especially something even cooler. Rick stepping on his arm and then that like really good build up to like it being him and everything was really cool, especially seeing him shoot her was like the coolest flashback out of them all, or more of so hallucination, and then reusing that kind of like, you know, shot from like, you know, season 2 at the barn was really cool. But what did I not like about these? Well, let me make this very quick and short. It all went way too quick. I hated constantly being reminded that I was watching a hallucination. I thought these would be spread out along the episode, like through like, you know, different segments of like, you know, her just going through shit. And I thought the music was fucking jarring. Like near the end when she was about to be shot and everything was fine, but leading up to it was not necessary at all. But moving on from the flashbacks, Michonne escaping with all the others and finding the ball of fire was really intense and cool. The confrontation of Virgil with everyone, like, you know, pretty much just like about to fucking kill him and everything, and all that type of emotional shit and everything was, you know, alright. Now the juicy stuff. The finding of Rick's things was very interesting, especially like, you know, the boots and realizing that, like, you know, he was alive was really cool. Her confronting, like, you know, Virgil about all that stuff and everything was very interesting and just all around really cool. This yet again was very like one of his star moments in the episode, and I think especially how he got to show like, you know, very like genuine concern and everything, especially the speech he gave where it's like maybe us finding each other was not a mistake, and having him be like, you know, boats wash up and everything in the world, all that type of stuff. And I think his speeches were very good during this moment in the episode. Her finding the phone with like the whole moment was outstanding, especially all those carvings, which you did find out. I forgot what it would exactly it said or anything, but I'm pretty sure everyone could just find what it means and everything, especially like, you know, find like a very old version, or not a very old, but an older version of Judith was very, you know, weird, but yet again, that's for another video. But it was definitely very cool and interesting and everything to see all those like tons and tons of Rick clues. Michonne's final talk with Virgil was really good, especially yet again with his last and final shining moment in the episode, and maybe in the series, we don't know that yet. When he said he promised his wife flowers every day, that was a good moment, and especially how it reminded me of kind of that moment with Jenner from the CDC when he promised his wife to never leave the CDC and constantly try to find a cure. But it was a very good and final conversation. Michonne's conversation with Judith and RJ was really good and emotional, especially with RJ being named like, you know, little brave man. But Judith telling Michonne that Alpha cannot hurt them anymore was very weird, since at this moment they might not know that Alpha's dead and everything, but do the people at home know about her death? I don't know, maybe. Judith learning about Rick's possible survival was very emotional, especially with like, you know, the good acting from both Danny and Kaylee. It was a very good and emotional final conversation for the two, and especially like, you know, the nice and cute moments and everything with RJ. Michonne getting her 2 pet walkers and everything was pretty good and oddly cinematic. But the big moment, Michonne coming up with those 2 people and everything, and them having like, you know, or them saying that they'll leave us behind, and, you know, seeing that gigantic army or group moving, and just that moment when she offers to help them, when we get like a fucking awesome shot of that humongous group was like just awesome. And probably, you know, besides the hallucinations and her finding about Rick and everything, that was probably my favorite moment of the episode. But that was my review and discussion video for 1013 What We Become. Now, while I did have a lot of criticism about this, like, you know, episode and everything, I did think it was a very good send-off to Michonne, even though her story is not over. But yet again, that's for another video. This episode did have some good moments, like I mentioned earlier, and everything, that ending was awesome. Thank you so much for Denai Guerrero and everything for playing and giving us this iconic character, Michonne. I can't wait to see what like, you know, other things she does in like, you know, other medias and anything, especially in the Rick Grimes movies. She has done a wonderful job and everything, in my opinion. I know I am talking very fast and everything because it is 2 a.m. in the morning and everything. I do want to get this done. I do genuinely think she has played an amazing character and everything, has given us many memorable and amazing moments and everything. I do genuinely want to thank her so much and everything, even if she might not be watching this, or if she is, thank you so much for giving us an amazing character. And while she's giving us any, like, you know, amazing performances to look back at, she also is giving us ones to look forward to, wink wink. But yep, that was my review and discussion video for 1013. I think I know I said that right in everything, but yep, that was all. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more of, like, you know, the Walking Dead universe stuff. And there is some gigantic fucking, like, you know, like, astronomical, even that's not a word, anything, news to cover in the next couple of days and everything. And yep, I'll see you guys later, peace, my amigos, and peace out.